Damn, Ingenious made the beat? Yo, welcome to another episode of the Coach Life Podcast Radio. I'm, of course, your host, Prince of Positivity, Coach Steve. Join with me, my co-pilot, partner in crime, the dime dropper himself, Coach Luna. How we doing, Brody?
Great, man. Great. Excited to go ahead and dive into the topic of today.
You know it. We got a guest for this one, aka Mikey C, aka Mikey Suits, the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Corelli. How we doing, brother?
That's a heck of an introduction, Steve. I'm doing fantastic. I'm not in character today. I'm just going to be Coach C today, if that's okay with you
I
guys.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm super stoked for this particular pod because this one's definitely near and dear to both of our hearts. Again, we talking about brotherhood in sports. The brotherhood in sports. Very rich background when it comes to brotherhood, when it comes to especially us two. Again, being able to play high school football together. I got a chance to play high school football with Coach C. um, got a chance to coach with him right after we finished playing high school football. Well, after college anyway, and got a chance to get back on the field with him and coach with him at our alma mater before they closed down our alma mater. But I'm really happy to have this conversation with you, Coach. How's the season been? I know you are coaching right now. So where are we at right now? How the season in for you?
Well, we just closed up. Freshman season closed up 2 weeks ago, and then I was fortunate enough to be on the sideline for the varsity games. We just lost last weekend to.
For LT, right?
Yes, I should lead with that. I'm at Lyons Township High School in LaGrange Park, Illinois. This will be my fourth year. It was my first year as a freshman offensive coordinator on the A team. I've been the B head coach the previous couple of years. They pulled me up. It was a wonderful experience. We finished 4-5. I think we left a couple of wins out there, but it just seemed a couple of weeks. The offense and the defense were taking weeks off. It was like the offense was clicking, and we scored 30 points in two losses this year. So that's rough. And then we lost 14-7 one time. We lost 21-7. So we just couldn't get it together. But then we won our last two games by over 20 apiece. So I mean, including a blowout last game of the year against York at home under the lights, which is always fun with the varsity coaches out there
Hmm.
and the varsity players out there and the parents. We had a really good showing. It was really nice out. First kind of cold day, but there's a couple of kids I think that are going to be playing on Saturday on that team. So it was a real pleasure to coach them. And then as far as LT goes, we lost last Friday to a really good team. Why is the name escaping me? I try to block all the losses out, but
We understand.
it'll come to me in a second. They're out of Palatine and they're a really good team. It's friend. They have a Northwestern commit lefty at quarterback. He was the real deal. He's really good, and they were just really good. They're a good ball team. And as you guys know, 8A is no joke.
No.
Every playoff game's tough at 8A.
Yeah, that's top tier, bro. That's definitely top tier. Coach C, obviously when we played in high school, there was a massive bond, and you've seen the last few pods that we had. We had a bunch of our former players on, former coaches on for some of those last podcasts that we had just last month. Walk us through your experience of playing at St. Joseph High School. What was it like being in the locker room, being on the field, and what was your true experience that you witnessed day in and day out?
I got to be honest, Steve. Looking back on high school football, we always tell our kids, right? It's not about the wins and the losses. And nothing could be more true than St. Joe's because we didn't win a lot of games.
True enough.
especially, I feel like you really got cheated because we were actually pretty good the year before you joined, and injuries. I mean, our quarterback got hurt the first day of practice our junior year, and that kind of ruined everything. But let me backtrack. My brother went to St. Joe's, so like my fate was sealed. I was the ball boy, like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade year. I did the chain gang. Like I was bleeding Charger red, like before anything else. Before I was recruited, it was nice to get recruited, but like they didn't have to recruit me. They had me. They had me at hello. But playing at St. Joe's, man, you have to realize something. Growing up in a suburb like Westchester, it's kind of a culture shock when you go to a school like St. Joe's, which was, you know, 30% Latino, 25% African American. It was predominantly white, but it was very much a melting pot. And right away, the blending of all those cultures to me created a brotherhood that gave me an education and the confidence that I could walk in any room in the world and feel comfortable that I could communicate and find common ground. And that started with the game, man. Like, I knew you a little bit before high school, but we got super close. Desmond, who I know we're going to talk a lot about this hour. I mean, think about this. My first day of freshman football, I met Desmond Cunningham and Ari Papadakis, two men who are no longer with us, but were two of my closest friends in high school. And me and Ari were close until the day he passed. And I always, whenever I saw Des, it was like yesterday, like I just
Yeah,
saw him. So, I mean, but the bonds were, that's all we had were each other. I mean, do you agree? I mean, all we did was hang out with each other.
absolutely, absolutely. Before and after practice, we weren't hanging out in class. Before practice started, after practice, when we talked about like really cementing that brotherhood, and you're 100% correct. Like it was a melting pot. Like it was a culture shock for me again, coming from the west side of Chicago, where it's predominantly black, to now going into Westchester, and it's like everybody's here. Like everybody's here. So I could not agree with you more, being able to walk into a room and be able to literally mingle with anybody and be able to have these kind of conversations with any and everybody, and then it'd be raw and real, right? Like,
It was always real, Steve. And that's the thing. It wasn't fake. Like that brotherhood. And that's what you remember. And I tell my players this. Now I'm blessed to be coaching at a high school currently where we made a pretty deep run varsity last year.
mm-hmm,
And the year before that, we won a couple playoff games. The year before that, I think we gave Loyola the game. I really believe that. I really think that we played good enough to beat them. I really believe that. Now, ultimately, they're Loyola. You have to play perfect to beat them, or else you're not going to
true,
beat them. That's how it
very
goes.
true.
But that team was really special, and that team reminded us. I say that because I felt that group 3 years ago was like us in the way that they did everything together. And I referenced our team, and I go, "You guys won a hell of a lot more games than we did." But they were close. And I think that the best teams are like you either have to be immensely talented or immensely close to win this game.
Yeah,
And I really believe
absolutely.
that because you have to lay your body on the line, and you can't do that unless you love that person that's standing next to you. And as a freshman coach, I really try to pound that into their heads that these are your brothers, man. And it sounds real cliche, and kids now are a little more jaded, I think, than we were.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Coach Luna could definitely attest to that
I
because
would like to hear that. Yeah.
Coach coaches at the grade school level, so it's a little different.
Yeah, I chewed my kids out today, and like they're terrible teammates. I told them straight up, y'all are terrible teammates. And I said, we're not up here getting after y'all because we dislike y'all or anything like that. We're getting up here and we're telling you these things because we can foresee the future of what this type of group and the individualism within this group where this is going to lead y'all. And I told them straight up, man, y'all are going to have a miserable 4 years because y'all don't know, one, how to be friends because friends hold each other accountable. And then two, y'all don't know how to let anybody lead and you're afraid to lead. So you're just, everybody's just going to be in here fiending for themselves. And I said, I told them straight up, nobody in this country is going to come and recruit an 0-40 football team.
No, and you said, Coach, if I can please step in, you said something. Wanting to lead. Now listen, and Steve, please, you can back me up on this. I cannot
Absolutely.
say I will pat myself on one thing on the back of me as a football player because I cannot say I was a really good football player. I can't say I dominated games, but the one thing I felt that I brought to the table was I was never afraid to be a leader and to piss people off because somebody has to be the guy that says, "Hey, knock that crap off. Let's play ball." Like these kids, everybody. My biggest criticism because I think the kids are a lot more emotionally intelligent than we were a little bit in certain aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to be the guy that says, "Hey, shut up. Let's play ball." Like they all just want to be friendly, and that's cool. But like
There's a
I try
line.
to, I try to drag it out of somebody every year. Like somebody's got to be the guy that draws the line and says, "This is where this stops, and we have to pay attention." I really feel like our team took a blowout loss this year because we have a quarterback. His name's Quinn Carroll. I think the world of him. I think he's going to be some. I think he's going to be somebody. Hard to say NFL, not quite. And I've seen it. I've experienced an NFL level quarterback at a young age. I'm not going to compare him to that kid, but he's got something. And I kept saying every week, like, when are you going to take the team over, dude? We're losing games. I'm not saying we're losing because of you, but the Bucks got to stop somewhere. And we got blown out by OPRF. And after that, a couple guys were like, "Hey, let's knock this crap off." And we started blowing teams out. Like I feel like they don't want to do it. It has to be brought out of them more. And I don't know what that is. It's not that they're inferior. It's not that they're
Mm-hmm.
lesser. But there's something about the culture now. And coaches, please, if you know the answer, please tell me because I've been trying to figure it out for years.
I think
Why
we
don't
all been
these
trying
kids
to
want to
figure
be a
this out.
leader?
I
Why
think,
don't they want to be a leader?
yep,
Why are they so afraid of somebody thinking that they're a jerk? Because they're right. And like,
yep.
can somebody help me, please? Because it's killing me.
I'm
It's
I'm
killing
gonna
me.
I'll help you with this one thing that I think
Please.
is something that we miss quite a bit is understanding, and me and Luna do this pretty frequently when we bring up a topic, is we try to define what that topic means or something, give a definition of what this is, right?
Okay, that's
So
great.
I think when we start looking back at what the real definition of brotherhood actually is, think that's when we can start kind of, dissecting how to get them from point A to point B. When you think about brotherhood, Coach C, and I'm gonna ask both you and Luna, when you
Oh,
guys think
wow. Okay.
about brotherhood, what does that definition mean to you?
Well, love comes to mind. Love is the first thing. You love your brother, but but I like where you're going with this, Steve. So I'm going to see if I can hit it on the head. What you're thinking is think about having a brother, and I'm blessed. I have one of the best ever. He was really great to me growing up, and he's been in the neighborhood. Steve knows him real well. Joey was like the
Shout
Pied
out
Piper
Joey.
when we were kids. See, yeah, shout out Joey. And shout out his son Rocco playing for the BGYFL Super Bowl this Sunday for the Bloomingdale Bears. I will be there.
Who's
Trying to
taller
catch.
than you, by the way. I
Yes,
just want to point that out. But
he's much taller, dude. That kid's gonna be like 6'5" or something. He's huge. But you argue with your brother. You never are afraid to tell your brother what's on your mind because you know the love's eternal, the love's unconditional. you don't do it in front of people, but you always have to be honest with them, and that honesty, I think, alienates people unless you love them. And I think that that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of alienating themselves. But in reality,
Mm,
you cannot alienate yourself from family because that's family. And we're just if I can't be honest with you, who could I be honest with? And like that's something you have to burn into your brain that that's not your teammate, that's your brother, dude. Like this is a different game. We're not. If you mess up here, it's not just the other team will score. Somebody might get hurt or worse. Like it's a different level of commitment that I don't think they understand it. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it, but that's what I think it is. The closeness is harder to because you can't manufacture it. It's
right.
got to be real, and it's harder, I think, to get there. I think I got a definition there. And somewhere it's love, it's unconditional love, it's unconditional honesty, it's laying yourself on the line for that guy. And I know it sounds cliche, but that's how good teams win, unless they're immensely talented. And again, I coach 8A football, Steve. All these teams are good. That's the thing. There's not a lot of
Hmm.
bad teams. And I hate to keep saying that, but like, you know, I see some good teams and the ones that are close. And I always remember when we were kids, Mount Carmel and Joliet Catholic. Now, I don't think they do it anymore, but they held hands in the huddle.
Yep.
I always thought that I'm like, wow, that's bond right there. They weren't afraid to do stuff like that. I've thought about bringing that back. I know it's weird, and somebody might have a problem with it, but like we got to do something. What do you guys think it is? So it's like,
Hmm.
what's your definition of brotherhood?
Coach Luna, you want to take this
Yeah,
one?
yeah, please, I want to hear it.
I think it's beyond the football field.
There it
The
is.
the level of love, honesty, and all those characteristics that you talked about, but consistently displaying those characteristics outside of that locker room. You talked earlier about like the great teams and the amount of things they did together outside of, they just always were together. And I reflect back to just our team when we went to state. Dude, we did everything together. We would go to CC's, the movies, the mall, you name it. There wasn't a single thing. We would go watch the girls' basketball team play, and we would be there. The whole freaking team would go. We'd go
This
watch
is
the French
deep.
play. We'd all go together. Like there was no lack of us. There wasn't things that we wanted to do that didn't include all of us. You know what I'm saying? And that closeness and that consistency within that closeness through the years, um, just that's where that brotherhood gets established. Like I've told you, I've told Steve, I told everybody, like my all of my groomsmen, I played high school football with. Like we all
Hmm.
played together in high school.
That's so cool.
That was in 2022. We graduated in 2009, and half of those guys I went to middle school with. So we're talking 20 plus years of friendship now. That's brotherhood. You know what
Facts.
I'm saying? And that's a rare feat in males to have that type of sustainability in relationships, even harder for females, but that's a different topic. Um, it's hard to sustain that without that level of honesty, without that level of trust, and without that level of love for one another. And yeah, man, that's brotherhood.
Facts. And I think
Yeah.
what you both just said again, that hits the nail on the head. Both of you guys hit the nail on the head. Brotherhood shows up on and off the field. That's a level of accountability, a level of sacrifice, a level of shared goals, a level of grind that it elevates everybody. It's not about just elevating one person, it elevates everybody. Like Coach C just said it a few minutes ago. He didn't think he was that good of a football player. I beg to differ because you
Well, thank
played
you.
with people that actually elevated your game, that made you better. Papa was no small dude, bro. Aries
No,
was
he
not
wasn't.
a small dude, yo. He was a massive man.
Yes, he
I s-
was.
he was a massive, massive dude. He was the one that gave me my first injury on the football field because of scout
And I'm
team.
sure he did it on accident. And I'm sure he
And
did
he
it on
totally did
accident.
it on accident. Totally did it on accident. He wasn't trying to do it. But again, that raises everybody's bar. And it raised everybody's bar because you wanted to go and be the best for your team. You wanted to go and be the best for your brother next to you. You mentioned Dez, bro. I can count on, I would run out of fingers counting how many times this man threw a block for me to make it an extra 5 or 10 yards. Or he would, you know what I'm saying? Like, go tell coach, like, let's run this to get me the ball or get somebody else the ball because he knew that he wanted to just go and just headhunt to make sure that we can clear the path, right? There are so many selfless, and I think that's the key to it is that being selfless and understanding that I'm doing this for the next person. And you said it perfectly, Mikey, is I don't necessarily see that as much in the younger generation now. It's like you almost have to force them to be together to actually start having that level of brotherhood.
And it's interesting. I think it's more on the field than it is off the field. I think they all get along off the field well. In my school too, there's also a level of affluence. I call it affluenza. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money in the community, and that doesn't help all the time either. Like there's guys like that miss a couple like I can't schedule something certain weekends because it's like, well, they're going to the lake house that weekend. That's the weekend all these people go to lake houses, which is something I'm not used to. That was never in my life, but it also it's the good and the bad, right? But then also, though,
Mm-hmm.
if we need to have a team dinner, there's 900 people, you know, pitching in. So like it's good and bad, right? It's That's what that is. But to get
Mm-hmm.
back to that though, I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was always there, but I feel like getting them to buy into the fact that if I do this, my brother will shine, they're less likely to do that. Like, for instance, we have a couple plays where, in a trips formation, the middle guy tends to be the pick guy, right? So in practice, nobody wants to do that. It would be like they'd be fighting over instead of one guy saying, screw it, I'll take the two receiver spot and I'll set the pick. It would be like they always put the worst kid there. And it's like, can't one of the receivers bite the bullet and just do it? And like I have to make them do it. And like I feel like maybe that was always there, but little microcosms show up in stuff like that. And I just feel like when did that turn to where like nobody wants to do that anymore?
Mm-hmm. You don't want to be
It's
the
And
not.
person that's not necessarily in the spotlight.
It's
yes,
not. And it doesn't get talked about. That's
I
Yeah.
think
why
It's
it
not a
gets
is
sexy
no
it
position,
glory.
bro.
It gets no glory. It gets no spotlight. It gets nothing of what the kids want. They
are
want
they
to
just
be
so programmed to
that.
that now?
Say that again.
Are they just so programmed to that now? Like the instinct it
Yes.
does kind of, it comes with I don't want to bring social media into it, but it kind of has to. It's the instant gratification of good job like right away, and they don't think
Mhm.
that playing that position is going to get them a good job. Is that what it is?
Yes.
That's wild. Yeah, and you're probably right. Yeah.
100%. We literally had a kid last week. Our coach decided who was going to go get, who's going to go take pictures to represent our certain teams. A couple kids, two kids represent football team, a couple kids represent the track team, a couple kids represent the basketball team, so on and so forth. You get the picture, right? Well, one of the kids that we were asking to represent the track team was like, I don't want to represent the track team. I want to represent the football team. but he's one of our better athletes, football and track.
Hmm.
If we just put you in football, we don't have another kid that we can visibly say
Correct.
we want
Spread the wealth.
another track kid. He legitimately was trying to petition to be like, I don't want to take this picture. And I was like, you don't get it. You don't get it. You're still stuck in the stigma of how it's going to look strictly for you.
Correct.
And I told him, I said, I looked him dead in his eye. I said, that right there is the problem with this group.
Well, and I'll be honest with you. Here's another thing I'll say too, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but I don't even blame the parents anymore. I blame administrations in a lot of sense, because you know what's supposed to happen then, and what would have happened when we were kids. You don't take any pictures now.
No.
No pictures for you now. You don't
Mm-hmm.
take the track picture. You don't take the football picture. No pictures anymore.
Yeah,
And that's
Wags
a
wouldn't
life
have had that,
lesson.
bro.
No way. And neither would have DeCarlo, and neither would have
No,
Coach
no,
Brandon. I mean, could
no.
you imagine me going to the dean, Brandon, or even DeCarlo, any of them, and been like,
Absolutely
I
not.
I want to selfishly not have. I don't. I want to make sure that Desmond doesn't take the picture because I don't want to be. I wouldn't even think about that.
Nah.
Like it's a microcosm of our society, unfortunately, but like it's much harder to discipline kids now. That's really the biggest part too. Is as coaches, we are so under a microscope. And by the way, rightfully so, because there's a lot of guys out there that ruined it for us. There's a lot, or there's a lot of culture that was unchecked for a while. And of course, it's the overcorrection now.
Hmm.
It's sad because a lot of people, especially with me, I'm a loud guy. They hear the volume, they don't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
They just hear that it's loud. They don't hear what you're saying to them. And that's my biggest issue with it too. Maybe I just gotta, yeah, I come from a family of streamers. It is what it is. I stream good things too. But getting back to what you're saying, how do we pull that out of them? Like that's got to start at home too a little bit too. No, like
Thing.
Absolutely.
It's a community thing because if whatever we present to them is foreign, how can we tell them, how can they start believing our word more than what's being taught at home? It's a community thing. And if the parents aren't giving that attention and the parents aren't teaching the certain basic characteristics of things, then we're fighting an uphill battle trying to tell them whatever they're learning and whatever is slowly cementing into their psyche of how they operate, then we get looked at as the bad guys. We get looked at as the opposition. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So that's the issue. Is it's on the adults 100%, but I blame it on the just the overall leadership within the family of not assuming the responsibility of saying, "Hey, man, that's not okay." You know what I'm saying? And checking those little, you know what I'm saying, those little potholes within what may be going on with your kid that you're not even realizing because you're too
totally
busy with
agree.
else. You know what
Or
I'm saying?
maybe you are realizing it and you're looking for someone else to do those corrections. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Uh,
Please.
my my kid goes to karate every Saturday. I take him to karate class. The kid is killing it right now. Nate is
Very
just
cool.
he is killing it right now. Every tournament, every practice, he is all in. He is pot committed. But I go back and I look at some of his, previous films when he was a white belt and where he is today. Now he's a blue belt. So the
Okay.
kid has made massive, gains. I talked to a parent recently that said that they just recently put their kid in karate. Now, the sensei that he currently has right now is pretty strict. Like, there's no playing around. There's no, of course, you got little kids. You got like, 5, 6-year-old kids that are in there. And their attention span is probably all of that long, right? So, trying to coordinate and keep them organized and to do the things that they need to do is pretty tough. But as a sensei who's been doing this for years, For years, he has no tolerance for all of the let me, be have all these squirrel moments. He will sit you down and say, "Okay, you're not listening. Go sit down. Don't move.
I
Sit
love that.
down." Right? And one of the parents had said, "I love the fact that he kicked my kid out of class. He was excited that he kicked his kid out of class, which is cool that, that happened, but at the same time it's like, are we having those conversations at home to say, "Hey, when he is talking, when he's instructing, you need to be focused. You need to pay attention. I'm going to take this away from you." I think there's no real consequence for a lot of kids nowadays. And to your point, Mike, we as coaches sometimes can't do certain things like we used to do back then, but there are ways that we can, kind of discipline, but it's like you got to be more methodical with doing it so much now. I think it's almost like you're scared sometimes to do it as a coach. I know it's kind of like somewhat off topic to a degree, but this is one of the reasons why that level of brotherhood isn't there and instilled in every single student, because they're not trying to be a student of the game. They're trying to be a me first type of individual, right? And again, we do live in that kind of a culture.
Well, and
Think,
I think, oh no, Coach, please go because I want to hear what
just
you
think
have to say about this.
like coach. Think about our parents. Okay, think about our parents. Marinate on that for a little bit. All right. Now think about the parents that you meet now. Is there where there's a
There's a
drop off,
gap. There's a gap.
a
Yeah.
giant drop off. Okay, that same gap is the same thing of the lack of that we didn't get that we may have got from our parents. That same gap is now transferred down to those that don't have that. You know what I'm saying? And that gap just continues to widen and widen and widen and widen. Why? Because one, we're overly consumed with entertainment. And this is just I'm going in a full barrage of reasons. We're overly consumed with entertainment. We're not taking care of home. And, Steve, you and I talked about this on our last pod. It's the lack of leadership from the men at home. Point blank
Facts.
period. Point blank period. It is and I think it's also, I'll attest to this, is I think a lot of men don't have a brotherhood. And therefore, they don't have anyone to check them or don't have a barometer to know whether or not they're operating within the capacity that they should be operating. And
I love how you put that.
all that trickles down. You know what I'm saying? A man who cannot lead a family cannot raise a leader. And if we got kids who lack leadership qualities, Dad, are you being a leader at home? And don't just say because you're the man and you have a house that you're the man of the household. That's just a man in a house. You got to
Facts.
go ahead and actually control the household. Do you actually lead the family and lead by example? And if
And I
those
could
aren't yes, then your child ain't gonna be a officer. He's gonna be exactly what you bred him to be.
you meet the players and you meet the good players and you meet their dad.
You see it
You see
every
it.
time. I have never met a kid that was very disciplined, a very good player, and then I meet his dad, and the dad's the complete opposite.
Mhm.
No, there has always been a correlation. Even if the kid didn't have his dad in his life, whoever was the parent of the
Yes,
household,
correct.
whoever was the leader of the household, when I met that parent, I knew, okay, I see it.
If it's a single
Make
mom, she does not play.
it makes
Like
sense
she's very much. And by the way, they're the ones that say you could say whatever you want to my son,
every time.
and it's like you kick his butt if you have to. And I'm like, I don't think that'll be necessary. the problem is though is the parents that say that are always the parents of the kids that are really good or at least
Right.
try. And that's another thing. It's an effort thing, and I think that that's really what it is too. Is like I can't even imagine not playing my ass off for my brothers every play. Like you would have to, I would, and again, Steve, if I'm lying, please, I would have to drag myself off the field sometimes. That's how hard I played. And it was just because,
Yep.
man, if I didn't do my job, we couldn't stop anybody. Like I would be devastated. And believe me, we lost a lot of games, but I would cry because I wanted to win so bad for my boys that never that like we I just wanted to win so bad with my boys, man. Just for guys like Steve who just starved, and for a lot of guys like my buddy Mike Gentile I knew would never play college football, and like I didn't know I didn't think I was going to play college football. And most kids don't. Like that's another thing. It's about their offers now and all this stuff. It's like that's all stuff like
Hmm.
cares about your offers. Are you a good teammate? And like it's so funny because that's the first thing that coaches care about. I know Division I coaches. The
Hmm.
first question they ask is, "What kind of a teammate are you?" And they think we're lying about that stuff. But that's what kind of a brother you are in my eyes. And I think that that's what it is. We've gotten away from that somehow.
Hmm.
And
Mikey,
it used
when
to, yeah, yeah,
no,
please.
go ahead.
No, and that's what's going to lead to it. Like something, I don't know what happened. That's all I was going to say.
When did you realize that you were a part of something special when you started playing football?
Wow. That is such a great question, Steve, because there's a lot of things. I really just remember, you know what it was, Steve? I remember freshman year of football, and we had a pretty good team, and you unfortunately weren't a part of the team,
Hmm.
but I remember just meeting, like I was in the middle of a double session, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, I love these guys, man. Like it's like falling in love. You know what I mean? But like I always loved the
Hmm.
game, but I'm like I would take a bullet for anybody in this locker room except for like two of them. But like you also need that
Right.
though. But you also
Yep.
need like there's also going to be guys that play your position or like you don't get along with. But like it's on if anybody messes with that guy though. That's like he's a jerk, but that's my jerk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like there was never any bullying. There was none of that crap. Like we just played together. We played for each other and we took care of each other. And it was like that's all I wanted to do was spend time with these guys. We all want to go to prom together. We all want to go to homecoming together. We want to get the games on the weekend. Go to Hooters the night before the game.
Hmm.
Just cool stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like the closeness, the bond. Because like I said, we didn't really have a good ball team. You know what I mean? So like that's what it was even more for. It was like, and the question I get asked is, why didn't you just quit? And it's like, because I couldn't. It never crossed my mind.
Yep.
Never crossed my mind to quit. Not
Didn't
one
matter
time.
how many wins at that point. It didn't matter how many wins. It was somebody brought something up. A former player uh, that played at Joe's made the comment that he wanted to quit so many times and wanted to transfer and everything else. Didn't, but just made the comment, openly all the time. I don't care, like you said, I don't care how many wins we had on that field. It was the bond that we had and the fun that we had on and off the field that made it so that I can't quit on you. I can't because if I'm quitting on you, I'm quitting on myself. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how close it felt. And there's something to be said about that where you're willing to go the extra mile for those individuals. You're willing, like you said, you're willing to take that bullet. I'm willing to go and be the point, the pick man. Like I'll go be the pick man. It's cool. I don't need the ball right now, right? Get the ball into the other people's hands right now. I'll get my chance to shine, right? You knew that it was going to come eventually. And if it didn't, it didn't. It is what it is, right? But you were never sour about it. I guess that's
No,
when you actually really cared about the people that you played with.
I mean, and I'll take it a step further too. The transferring thing, and we coached at St. Joe's. We did get some transfers. Um, One ended up going to the NFL.
Yep.
And I always thought to myself, was that my fault? Like, not just my fault. Like, was that our fault that that happened? Because like I understand totally why he did it to a certain extent, but it always bothered me because like I feel like, man, if we would have did our job, would that kid have left?
Right.
And that's the one thing like people ask me, do you have any regrets? And it's like, I don't regret him transferring because at the end of the day, I wasn't a varsity coach at the time. But it bothered me. It still bothers me, believe it or not. And I understand why. And he ended up he won a state championship. He had a great college career. He went to the pros. But something tells me he would have had that would have happened at St. Joe's. Like, did we fail? Because there's no way anybody would have transferred off our teams. It just wouldn't have happened.
No.
Here, I'll say right now, you don't think Pierre could have transferred?
Absolutely. Pierre could have played
What
anywhere.
what school's not taking Pierre Walters?
Everybody would have taken him.
He would have started on any team in the state
The
at
man was a
at
Swiss Army knife, man. He did
at four
everything.
positions. Yes, at four positions. He could have played anywhere he wanted.
Yeah, shout out P, man. I gotta get him on
Yeah,
his too,
what
on his
a
pod too.
please. I'll come back on. We'll all get on. We'll have to shut that podcast down.
Absolutely.
But like that's what I'm saying though. It's like it's the mini corporations. Do you think that's what's Coach Lou, do you agree it's the mini corporations? Like is that what's infiltrated? It took forever, but now it's infiltrating football a little bit now. And I think it's killing the game a little bit.
I don't know what you mean by mini corporations. What do you mean by that?
So like the superstar factor, every kid's a superstar. Every kid's worried about their stats, their
Mhm.
shine. What do I get out of this? I feel like it took a long time for it to happen with football, but like it's coming, man. It's here. Like
Oh,
and I coach freshmen.
that 7-on-7 made that. I,
Oh, the 7-on-7.
it's been here. It's here. And
Oh,
I'm not trying to make a sexist statement when I say this, but when they started letting football be for everybody, it it's now made football, I won't say watered down, but what's going to end up happening, and I made this prediction 10 years ago. I said, we are going to be playing 7-on-7. There's going to be a professional 7-on-7 league. Why? Because it's all inclusive and it's
well,
for everyone to be a part of it. And for that reason, we're going to have a watered down product. You see it in the NBA. Go
yeah,
look
that's terrible.
Go look on the app, on the ESPN app, and look at what channels the NBA is on right now. You don't even know what half of those channels are. It's literally a watered down. We're talking about a professional sport that has to now wear freaking Love's gas station, uh, 10 here. Like it's become
Yep.
that because they've had to water down the product so much that they have to try to get so much money from everything. It's just
Yeah, they're
it's
outsourcing.
1,000% a it's become a me game. It's all about me. So we're finding an uphill battle because who are the consumers? We are. And we eat it up. We are the ones that consume and watch those things. We're the ones that go ahead and make those profits for those people, for those many corporations. So we can't point at the fingers at nobody else but ourselves.
You do know
I have
that
to.
I don't know if you guys seen this recently. I think I sent it to you, Luna, a while ago. They have full pad flag
Black
football.
Mhm.
Just saw it the other day. What is going on?
Now, welcome to the future.
Well, time out though.
Mind blowing.
I have to say this though. I do have to say this though. I love girls 7-on-7. I
Oh, it's
do, and
definitely a
maybe
cool,
I'll.
no doubt.
It's super cool. I thought
Sometimes
about
they
coaching it.
play harder sometimes than the dudes do.
They get after it, and they get after each other on the field. I think it's a little. I think it's a little too much. I think they call each other out a little too much sometimes. I was on the sideline for a game against Glenbard West this year, and you had a full girl got burned on a. It was a nice move, by the way, but like the one girl was like on the sideline, like in her grill, like this, and I wanted to go like, "Hey, honey, listen, goldfish memory, let's keep going." You know what I mean? But like, I think it's the best thing in the world. This girls' flag. I was hoping it would be a spring sport because I wanted to coach it, and they won't let you double dip, which makes sense, but the 7-on-7, you're 100% right, and I want all the smoke. I'll even name the 7-on-7 team I can't stand. It's Boom. I think that the way they allow their players to act, and I'm not even saying allow it, they encourage it. It's awful. It's bad for the sport. I despise the way they do it. And I think a lot of their own players and their own coaches are starting to leave because it's just getting out of hand.
But
It,
this is where the problem is, because where does 7-on-7, the time frame of when 7-on-7 happens, happens
yeah,
right,
the off season.
Right
and
now,
it lasts
right.
all the way pretty much through summer. So let's go back. Let's think our off season. What was January built off of? January to basically May. That was our off season. And what other
Mm-hmm.
sport we go ahead and play? We ran track, which was
Yes,
what?
sir.
Another sport that we grew closer together in,
It was all
right?
football players. It was all
We're,
football players.
if we're all playing 7-on-7 and you play for that team, 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 we're not teammates anymore.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
We're
makes sense.
we are oppositions when we leave here. So how can I see you as a brother when we play together? When half of the year, 6 months out the year, we're oppositions. But now for these 2, 3 months, we got to try to play with each other.
Right.
Their brains can't flip that switch. That's why I say 7-on-7 is 1,000% toxic, because those coaches, a lot of those coaches didn't play football.
And they
And
can't coach in real football either.
when they did play football, they weren't one of the guys who displayed those leadership capabilities. So they get off on this facade of playing fake football and dominating 12-year-olds and other 11-year-olds. And that's the way they validate themselves.
Hmm. It's
And
not about the players anymore at that point.
exactly. But again, what did I say? The failure in leadership trickles off into the kids. So they see the coach the same exact way. So they think that that's an appropriate way to act.
Yeah.
And then it's just a trickle down effect. The whole program becomes that.
And I'm going to wrap this around with a great story. Not a great story. I don't want to hype it too much, but I had a kid so my first year coaching youth football, I coached at Lions Football Club for 10 years. After I was at Joe's, I kind of needed a refresh. So I'm like, screw it. Let me go work with the kids. Best decision I ever made in my life. Because when I left St. Joe's, I thought I was a horrible coach. Like I said, I took that transfer really hard when that happened.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I think I'm not a good coach anymore. So I took a year off and I ended up coaching youth football. I got back in. I won a championship my first year. We had a really good team. But after that, they sent me to work with, because I was a kid. I was coaching out a kid. So this group of kids needed a coach. None of the dads would step up in the community. So I'm like, screw it, I'll take that team. And we stunk. We stunk for a year. And then second year, this kid, Zion Nix, comes out. He was not a ball carrier, but he was a hell of an athlete. He played offensive line and defensive tackle for the rest of the time in LFC because he could never make the weight. This kid was special. And it bothers me to this day he didn't go all the way, but, he didn't really grow. Some stuff happened. But, like, the reason why he stuck around was because his mother was like, I'm not taking him to some other team. He's getting recruited by all the other teams, but like, I want him to stay here and win here. And that's exactly what happened. Seventh grade year, we went to the Super Bowl and won. And the eighth grade year, we went undefeated and then got beat in a playoff game. It was a weird game in the rain. And the kid that beat us is running track for the freaking Olympics now. And it's just, but it's now 7 years later from that. If that happened now, that kid's leaving. That
Right.
kid's going to Naperville or he's going to some other town. And it's like, I just think that it's like the 7-on-7. It kills brotherhood because they're all assassins. They're all mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
That team's not put together with a group of kids that are working hard. It's okay. Who could I get from this team? Who could I get from that team? And not to mention, it's a money grab for half these people. These coaches
Right.
are robbing these parents blind, and it's killing brotherhood because you're right. They're talking about 7-on-7 at practice in June.
So we got
When you
kids
got pads on.
that are playing youth football while we're in season. So they would leave. We would have practice in the morning
Wait. What?
youth football practice after school. So they were practicing twice a day and then playing a game on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day they played, whatever grade they're in. And then they would go play for their youth football team during the same week on that weekend.
On the weekend.
Well,
Again.
that was actually outlawed by the BGYFL now because of that, because there were teams doing
It
that
should
too.
be outlawed, but
It's
for what
incredible.
it's not outlawed. And
What
we
parent?
Crazy.
have kids doing that out here in Texas.
Well, Texas is. I should move to Texas. I feel like I love it there, but I feel like. And listen, my dad grew up. Shout Joe Senior is in the other room. He grew up Little Italy, Chicago, box Golden Gloves. Tough guy. There's no way he's let me play 2 football games in a week. Like, that's insanity. There's no freaking way he's letting me play
You
a
play
game
for
on.
this team.
Yeah, I
Period.
play for you play with your friends. But the problem is you're right. It's all the brotherhood.
Well,
Bring brotherhood back to football.
Coach, you can't leave that thought. Who'd you say wouldn't let you?
My old man.
Didn't mean to do that, but
Let's
No, but you're right though.
100%.
leadership is the home leadership, man.
You're 100% right.
I can't get around your coach. I can't argue with you, and I'm not even talking about daddy. I'm talking about whoever is running the household, the mom, the uncle, the big brother. Listen, I got uncles in my life that were very influential. There's no
Mhm.
way, but the number one thing that they taught us were to surround yourself with good people and be a good friend.
Yeah.
And be a good brother.
I want to make this transition because we almost at time right now, but I want to
Yeah.
make sure that we cover this because this is where we make that shift from being a brother to building brothers. And as coaches, when we start coaching, we try to instill that as much as we possibly can. And having that understanding of brotherhood matures significantly when you become a coach.
Yes, it does.
What was the what was the biggest maturity piece for you, Coach C, when you went from player to coach?
Wow. Steve, I feel like I'm growing up every day. And that's such a cheap answer, and I'm going to give you a flat answer, but I really need to. I feel like if you're not getting better, I truly believe this. If you're not constantly trying to improve and mature and grow, you don't know You don't know everything. You never do that. As a matter of fact, I want to sit down with Rocco's youth football coach. So in the BGYFL rules, most guys, it's the mandatory rule play, right? Eight plays. So most of these guys want teams of like 18 kids so they don't have to play all these kids, all these plays. He has
Mm-hmm.
26 kids and all of them play and all of them play big snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, how do you do that in the 2 hour practice frame that you have? You have 6 hours a week. How do you do that? What do you do that I never did? And I could apply that to college, or I'm sorry, to high school ball. But the biggest thing that I had to put out of my mind is, you know what you're talking about. Telling them to work harder. You are the guy that they're looking for the answers. You're dad now. You're no longer you're still a leader, but when you're an assistant, you're like an uncle, and when you're the head coach, you're dad.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have all the answers, or at least pretend like you do. And I feel like locking in and really studying not just the plays, but how to really explain things to where everybody can get it. That was when I truly feel like I got good. And here I've been coaching 20, I've been coaching 20 years, 22 years this
Hey,
year.
shout out. Let's go,
Thank
Mikey.
you. I started 18. I feel like I really got good 3 years ago. And I still don't think I'm that good. Like, I feel like I have another 4 levels to go up. But it comes from maturing emotionally, maturing in the way you prepare, in the way you approach the game. It's not just about the preparation. It's about thinking about how everybody thinks. And I feel like I'm rambling here, but you understand? Am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm
Absolutely.
rambling.
Absolutely.
It's thinking about
Absolutely.
them. It's thinking about them. It's making that switch to, you need to think about how everybody is going to understand what you're saying. Not just the good players, actually, more so the good players. And I guess this is where I'll leave this whole statement. This is how I talk to my talented players, like a parent, like an older brother. I don't want to have to worry about you. A lot of bad coaches overcoach their talented players. That's how I know you're a bad coach. When the only people you're talking to are the number one guys, then to me, you're a bum. Because those are the kids that you should expect to get it right. The way you win and the way you build a great culture is taking the B players and making them A players, taking those C players and making them B players. The A players are always going to be your A players. It's coaching the middle. I call it. I try to coach to the middle as much as I can. It's hard to coach to the bottom because then you're not getting anywhere.
Yep.
Get everybody to the middle as much as you can, and then the cream always rises to the top, right? I always tell them, you can't coach to the bottom, you can't coach to the top. You have to try to coach to the middle as much as you can. Now, maybe guys will argue with that, but it's been my most successful thing, because you can't talk over players' heads, and you should never talk under their head either. If I think that was our problem this year on our team. I feel like our practices in the beginning of the year were too remedial. It was too slow. Because then the really good players get bored, and the lesser players aren't challenged even anyway.
Right.
If
They don't
you
know how to
coach
rise to the
to the
occasion at that point.
bottom, Coach Gene, our Brianna, said this: if you practice here and expect to play here, it's never going to happen. You have to practice here. Now it's not here, it's here. You can't blow them out every day too, because that's gonna, but I always say I try to coach the middle. Now maybe you guys will disagree with that, but it's worked for me, and that's my style.
One
I
one
coach
thing
in
I
the middle.
will one thing I will always say about you, coach, is being able to coach with you, there was a level of patience there was a level of servant leadership that was always there, and it was always how you coached every player. Like I seen you coach the middle, like you said, right? Like I seen you be able to lift other players up. You not only did that as a player on the field, but you also did that as a coach. And I watched it in both facets, which again, I took a lot, and you're 100% right. Coach Gill said it when we had him on. Coach Bill said it when we had him on. Coach Harris said it when we had him on for the last a while back. Every coach that we've brought on to this pod has made the comment of coaching past that level, helping to rise players past the level that they think that
Yes,
their expectations are, right? Like if you think you're here, I'm gonna get you here. And
correct.
that's the goal for every single coach. Before we close out, I want to ask one last question for you, coach.
Yes, sir.
And Coach Luna, feel free to jump in on this one as well. Because we talk about love initially right from this pod, and that's like a taboo thing or nowadays because we live in this LeBron James era where it's about me, and if I don't like it, I can go someplace else and do it someplace else. How did coaching teach you to love differently? Not just teammates, but also as a mentor.
Wow. That's a great question, Steve.
I
You
try.
you're really good at this thing.
I tr-
You're really good.
I try. I try.
Here's the best way I could explain it because I don't have kids. So maybe if I have it, I think what's going to be interesting is if I ever have a kid, and then we got to talk about this again. But for me, it was like I think I said it earlier, but like your dad now. Like I am now responsible for all these kids. And I think if I never went back to youth, I would have never have taken that level of responsibility back on because then I was able to become a head coach for the first time. And I was always very critical of head coaches but like once it's your job, once this is your
Mm-hmm.
team now, it's different because now you can't say everything you want to say every time. It's almost like becoming a parent. And I've always said this too. If you're parenting every kid, if you parent your kids the same way, both kids, that's never going to work. You have to parent. But now I now have to coach 25 kids differently. And what I think makes me a good coach, I don't like to brag on the fact that I know everything. I think I'm a good coach because I coach people. I don't coach players.
Facts.
I'm coaching
Facts.
young men,
Facts.
and they're all at different levels, mentally, physically, or whatever like that. But my superpower as a coach, and the only thing I care about as a coach, is I meet a kid and I go through my Rolodex of knowledge and how do I relate to this kid as fast as I can to where I could communicate with him, I could discipline him, and I could pull him up. What makes him tick? And I'm pretty good at it. At 22 years in, I might not call the right plays. I might not, have the right run fits, but I can coach a kid and I can be confident that he could respect me as a man and as a coach. And I didn't realize that as a player, that why I love these coaches so much was because the great coaches loved me as a man and as a kid, not just because I could tackle the quarterback and pick up fumbles. And that's the kind of coach I wanted to be. A lot of people think players coach is a dirty word. I disagree with that. I coach for my players. I want them to love the game like I love the game because it's done all great things for my life. Coaching to the middle and stuff like that is that I'm coaching young men. It's not just about the numbers on the jersey. It's about who that kid is, and he's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, a soldier, an NFL quarterback. I've coached everything, but that's what I came to realize, and that's when I think I got when I got better at it, and when I started to really love coaching is when I started coaching the kids. and not just 32 ISO. That's all secondary. That's all third, fourth. Coach the player. Coach the person, not the player. And that's what
Love it.
I've done.
I love that. Love that saying.
That's
Coach
it.
Luna,
What was the question again, Coach?
how does
sorry, I
no,
pontificated.
he knocked it out the park on that one. But how did coaching teach you to love differently? Not just as a teammate, but as a mentor.
Hmm. Made me work on my patience.
Oh, that's a good one.
It made me have to work with exactly what we have. You know, here's your toolbox. Here's your here's what you has to get done. Here's what needs to get built. These are the tools that you have. Get it done. And sometimes you may have a different toolbox for because of the amount of talent that you may have. It made you have to be a little bit creative. It made you have to and a lot of it had to make yourself look at yourself in the mirror, you know, and a lot of it had to made me hold myself accountable because if I am, you know, telling the kids how to be and what to do and all these other things, and I'm not particularly portraying any of those things, these kids aren't dumb. They're gonna see it, they're gonna call it out, they're gonna ask about it, they're gonna go ahead and you know what I'm saying? They smell blood in the water too. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They're just young Simbas trying to become Mufasas. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So they're the same animals that we are, right? So that part made me have to start, you know, holding myself to a higher standard of, you know, maybe these kids don't have an example at home, so therefore I need to be this example. And you know, that was a major point with the past, you know, couple of years for me, is just to, you know, stop talking and be, you know, and like I said, that you know, that shows to these kids. You know, when they come and they see me working out at 5 in the morning right before practice, like that bleeds into their mentality. Like Coach Luna ain't even really
Yes,
just
it does.
it's just he's just working out. Like, yes, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, these are the differences. Like, I'm trying to work something out. I'm trying to get rid of certain things. But you guys need to have this same mentality for the road ahead. Like, y'all have everything in front of y'all.
Facts.
And
Oh,
we're
you
literally
have no
telling
idea.
we're literally telling you these are the things that you have to establish now so that you can be successful later. And man, that to me, bro, there's no more gratifying point. Like how Coach was saying, like Coach, I'm helping raise a young man. I'm trying every single one of these kids are little Simbas, right? And I'm trying to make them grow into being that Mufasa. I'm trying to make them grow to see themselves more than what they think. To me, I get the biggest joy. I told you this. I get the biggest joy when I see the kid that was scared to grab a 5 pound plate, 10 pound plate, or whatever the case was in the weight room. And now he's, Coach, I'm lifting the bar now.
Clanging and
Yeah,
banging now.
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
Coach, I couldn't even imagine grabbing the bar. Like, heck yeah, dude, that's what I love to see. I'm glad, you know, we got some freaking natures in here that can squat the world and all that. But dude, you just conquered fear. You were scared of this place when you first came in here. And now you're conquering fear. So now the next time anything comes across your path that presents itself as something that you're supposed to fear, you already have unlocked that part of your brain that says, I can defeat that.
Yep.
I can do it.
Nothing more gratifying than that, man.
I can't disagree. I love that.
Man, man.
I'm
Both of
all
you
hyped up.
guys,
Come on, let's go.
right? Right? You ready to go play a game right now?
I would love, listen to me. I'd love a spring schedule. We try to do it in Illinois. I looked at like I'm Hannibal Lecter. I'm like, yeah, there's your spring season. All right, I guess not, guys.
Nah.
Guys, this was fun, man. I got to come back. I
Absolutely.
got to come back,
Absolutely.
man.
We definitely gonna have you back on. We absolutely have you back
I
on.
would
Again,
love to do it again.
both of you guys share some great stories with, again, summing up what brotherhood actually means and the challenges and the takeaways. I hope the people that are listening to this understand that brotherhood, again, for those that are, the quiet ones, the distance ones, the hurting ones, brotherhood, real brotherhood anyway, doesn't end when the whistle blows. Like this is a continuous process. This is when you take the jersey off, it's a continuous process. And something that, as coaches, we need to continue to instill and stop letting the kids off the hook so that they can not build that same mentality. So that again, we can build the next generation of great coaches. Again, if you like what you
Love it.
heard, smack that like and subscribe button if you want to hear more from your Coach Life fam. Until the next time, family, stay positive, my friends.